I'm Josh Hines, and I'm reading from Heroes of Exile. Previously, Nightwatcher is an aspiring superhero with a budget costume and a dream. He's a bit like Batman without the skills or money and with huge anxiety problem. Before Nightwatcher agrees to join Druid, a magical superhero, and the Anarchist Cyborgs, a para-superhero group of alcoholic punks with rusted machine parts in place of limbs, and they go on an adventure to find the cyborg's lost creator, the Professor. Druid waits until they're all on the road on the Borg bus to tell them what the mission is. He tells them that they are to break into a museum owned by Lucius Lector, one of the scariest supervillains there are. When Lecter's name is mentioned, Rowan, the driver, slams on the brakes until they hear the sound of metal on the pavement. This is chapter 15, Busted. You're a goddamn con man. Rowan shook a steel finger in Druid's face. I'm not a con man, said Druid, stepping around Rowan to inspect the concrete crushed tire rim. I just left out certain information that may have dissuaded you from doing what I wanted. They hovered at the front of the bus, the wizard pivoting away from the dwarf's attempts at eye contact. Charred rubber painted our nostrils. My eyes crawled from the bare rim of a wheel, along the gouge it carved into the pavement, to the smoking snail shell of a half-tire and the trail of black scarring the road. Green bangs hunched against the black tire, tapping the screen on her device, sometimes chuckling. Vega Santa's head was in the window, bowed towards his notebook. The rest of us, just outside the door, semicircled around the keg, which Gristle had scooped up and ripped from its stand, carrying it from the bus like a fireman with a baby. Rowan inserted himself between Druid and the tireless wheel. We nearly just died because of you. Druid put his fists to his hips. I wasn't the one who slammed on the brakes. No, spat Rowan. You're the one announcing we're on a suicide mission. If you were sober, you wouldn't have overreacted. Rowan flailed his arms. You fed me the drinks! Well, half of them. You didn't have to take them. Yes, I did. We didn't bring any water. Stupid git, Silver mumbled beside me, tugging a rivet above her eyebrow. I couldn't tell if she meant Druid or Rowan. Fuck me, Gristle cross-legged on the road shoulder, put the hose to his lips. His Adam's apple bounced several times before he took a breath. We're going to die in the desert, and judging by the keg size, some of us are going to die sober. Not it, said Pink Dreadlocks, squatting and wrestling the hose from Gristle. Rowan's voice wolf growled as he stepped to Druid. You tricked us into a mission against the most vicious supervillain on the planet. He shoved the sorcerer, who stumbled back, knocking over the keg and falling to the pavement. Silver, Gristle, and Pink Dreadlocks dove at the keg. The three pulled the barrel from under Druid's legs and righted it. Rowan stamped his feet, his face reddening. You all need to get angry with me! Lucius Lector! Druid pushed himself up on his elbows. I don't see the problem. You're fine with going against the Dragonhead, who's killed more people than Lucius, allegedly. Rowan bent over Druid, poking his chest. The Dragonhead only kills people. What Lucius does... He shuddered. You won't be going up against him. Druid got to his feet. We'll break into his museum at night. Do you think he lives there? Druid, with Rowan to the right and us to the left, met only angry glares. I was tempted to stand up for him until I was flooded with images. Lucius practiced evil glare in his every photo, a tabloid spread of politicians who vanished after launching an investigation into Lucius Corps. Druid sending me to fistfight a mass murderer. I couldn't tell you in the bar because you never know who's listening. The sorcerer glanced from face to face. You said that you would do anything to get the professor. I never took you to be terrified of dying. We're not afraid of death, said Gleam, massaging the hose from his girlfriend's fingers. We nearly die once a month, our end narrowly averted in the last second by statistically unlikely events. We'd all gladly face death for love of the professor and free liquor. I put up my hand. I wouldn't say all. Figures. Pink Dreadlock spat next to me. Gleam continued. Our fear of Lucius goes beyond the threat of death. He takes an interest in such gruesome homicide, his own henchmen go on stress leave. He built a black site that makes the Saw movies look like daycare. And not, said Gristle, the kind of daycare my mum put me in. Nice ones, with the glasses still in the window instead of a toy bin. You remember Green Arsenal? Continued Gleam. Lucius fed him, living, to mutant spiders. Over months. The coroner was the first supervillain whose origin came from performing an autopsy on another supervillain's work. Remember what you did to Purge? Said Silver. Was trying not to, said Pink Dreadlocks. What did he do to Purge? I asked. Worst thing he could do, said Silver. Let him live. Life's punishment after what he went through. But what did he... I tried to imagine what was too nasty for this crew to say out loud. Gleam paled. Lucius brought in a 3-foot... Well, he attached a... Gleam's eyes went skyward and he swallowed whatever worked its way up his throat. Let's just say he still cries when he sees a chihuahua. Or smells lemons, said Pink Dreadlocks. You're not listening, Druid said. We go into the museum at night. No one will be there. He won't tie the break-ins to us. Guaranteed. 100%. The cyborgs circled and the sorcerer and Pink Dreadlocks stepped so close their noses touched. 100? Her dreads rippled. Solid 90 to 68%. Give or take. Druid rotated a full circle, taking in cold stares. Do you want to find the professor, or should we abandon him to whatever fate has befallen him? His accusers crossed arms and stared at the ground. Fuck, said Silver. Fine. Good, said Druid. I would never ask you to face danger if it wasn't absolutely necessary. Are you sure? I said. Now, Druid sidled out of the circle. Let's change the tire and get on the road. Time's short. Onward! He pointed ahead. Where's the spare? Well, said Rowan. Here's the thing. Druid bit his lip, awaiting the rest of the sentence. He sighed at Rowan's tightened lips. No spare. Rowan shrugged. Can't be prepared for every little thing, can we? Druid scratched his chin. Others raised phones, searching for a signal. I peered down the carless highway. Hitchhike? Pink Dreadlock's lip curled. You think people stop for us? Druid turned his eyes towards Greenbags, tiptoeing down the bus and squatting next to her against the tire. She stopped typing and stared, wide-eyed at her tablet. Tinker, he said. Any ideas in that beautiful brain of yours on how to get the bus moving? She shook her head and inched away. He inched after her. Any special devices that might get a signal? She shook her head, wriggling further until she ran out of tire. He slid, hip bone to hip bone. Anything at all we can do? She nodded, sliding around to the back of the tire, coiling under the wheel well. Yes? Druid peeked around the tire. The air grew pregnant with possibility as Druid waited. In a barely audible, soft voice came, Borgsicle. It was the first word I'd heard her speak. Borgsicle? She nodded. My motorbike. You have a motorbike? Uh-huh. Where? Emergency exit. Druid's eyes widened, as did his grin. He threw his arms over Tinker and squeezed. She froze like a cat mid-suppository. Druid leapt up and we followed him to the back of the bus. He yanked the boomerang-shaped handle, acne with rust, squeaking open the back door, revealing what could be a motorbike. It had a motor. It had 2 wheels. It could almost fit under a Christmas tree, like a child's first Harley. I visually measured Greenbangs. Or a bike for an adult on the bottom side of 5-foot something. It looked built of parts from an abandoned storage locker, a gas tank made from a porcelain lamp, chair leg handlebars, and a seat taken off a bar stool. Tinker! Druid shouted, peering around the bus, looking for her under the wheel well. How far can I get on this? 100 kilometers. She was behind him, speaking barely above a whisper. He jumped and pirouetted. You sure? He reached for her shoulders. She leapt back, nodding. Okay, said Druid. With 4 of us up top and 2 down here, we should be able to lower... Silver opened the second door and she and Gleam grasped the frame in their metal hands, setting it on the ground. Druid threw a leg over a bike and dropped to the seat. His knees touched his elbows. His vest brushed the ground. He searched for ignition until Greenbangs, Tinker, her name is Tinker, pressed a blue button on the right handlebar. The bike sputtered, as if clearing morning phlegm, and growled to life. All right, Druid shouted. I'm going to go find a place with a phone to call for help. Please, please, please stay with the bus. He opened the throttle, drowning all protest. Druid should have known better. If he wanted the cyborgs to stay with the bus, he should have said, please, please, please wander around and make things worse. He was barely a vrooming speck in the distance when Gristle said, Want to see what's around? It's the desert, said Pink Dreadlocks. That's what's around. She leaned on the bus and lit a smoke with the welding torch on her wrist, the arc flashing a blue tan over her bronze cheeks. The air was dry. The mountains blocked winter winds and creeping clouds, trapping a modest warmth in the valley. Cracked and creased earth banked into mounds along the roadside. Gleam hovered over Green Bangs, who slumped against the back tire. Does Liv have maps? Does she see anything around? Tinker tapped the screen, nodded, and pointed at a cluster of sandy hills covered in standing, lifeless trees. There's a little road that leads to some houses. Rowan drained the keg and kicked it over, placing his fists on his hips. Druid thinks he's smarter than us. We could have the bus fixed before he gets back. Others nodded, and I stifled objections to wandering, waterless, around a desert. Gristle banged Vegas Santa's window. Oi, Rusty, we're going on a bit of a walk. Find something to leave a note. Santa dropped down the steps, holding a marker and unfolding a strip of cardboard. After some aggressive collaboration, they taped a note to the bus door. Dear Druid, fuck yourself. There are houses right fucking near that probably have fucking phones. Please, please, please stay with the bus. It was signed with a drawing and a fist, a middle finger raised.